So let's start looking at examples. So example 1 is a random sample of 11 statistics students produced the following data, where X is the third exam score out of 80, and Y is the final exam score out of 200. Can you predict the final exam score of a random student if you know the third exam score? So we're going to use a 0.5 level of significance. So here's the data. Let me move this little box down here. All right, so here you see I have the data for X and I have the data for Y. If you put it into the software or the calculator, make sure this 65 matches the 175 and that these data match each other. Remember, in regression, you need an X and a Y to have 1 point on the graph. All right, so here is a site that you can use. I'm actually going to do it when I do the practice problems. So I'm just going to do a shortcut way right now and show you. So when you go to that website, you're going to put all the X values in the first column and you put all the Y values in the second column. You don't want any commas in the data. It will get mad at that. I think in your practice problems, in your homework, there's commas in them. Don't put it in there. Just let it be. You're going to hit the Calculate Now button and look at all this output it gives you. So you've got the slope, which is 4.827. You've got the y-intercept, which is the first part of this, negative 173.5. You have the r squared, which is 0.397. So you're not given the r, but if you take the square root of this, you'll get it. You'll get what the r is. The p-value, which is right here, 0.0262. And look here, this is kind of cool. It already tells you it's significant. So you don't have to guess if you use the website. So using this stuff, I can put together my line of best fit. And it even gives it down here for you too, and it shows you the number of pairs. So it's kind of easy doing this. All right. So if you're going to put the data in the calculator, so you go to Stats, Edit. So you make sure that in L1, you put your X values, and in L2, you put your Y. So then you're going to go to Stats, Test, and go down to Lin-Reg T-Test and hit Enter. So as you see here, I've gone and I've done that, and X list should be L1, Y list should be L2, frequency should be 1. Always use the not equals in this class. Please don't worry about directional. That's if you get into a higher level of stats. The reg equation should be equal, and you hit Calculate. And again, we started getting the information. So this takes a little bit longer, and it doesn't give it as pretty as the computer site, but it still gives you what you need. So if you look here, here's your p-value again. Here's your y-intercept. Here's your slope. Here's your r squared. And here's your r. And so from there, you can just plug in a and b and get your equation. So what do we know from example 1? Can we predict the final exam score from the third exam score? Use the 0.5 level of significance. So I need to run that hypothesis test. Remember, the null is rho equals 0, and the alternative is rho does not equal 0. So since my p-value is 0.0262 and it's less than 0.05, I reject my null, which means there is a significant linear relationship. So I can make predictions on this. So I have my slope of 4.827 and a y-intercept of negative 173.5. So there's my equation. So I can use that equation to make predictions. So, and now since it's significant, I can use my r and my r squared values. So the website didn't give me my r values, but I can take the square root of it and get it. So the 0.6631 indicates a positive moderate correlation. So remember to look at the sign of the slope for positive and negative, because when you take the square root of it, it would lose the negative. So just make sure you have that. So the r squared is 0.4397, which means the percent of variation in the final exam scores that can be explained by the variation in the third exam scores using the regression line. So 43% can be explained. And that's regression.